want to welcome you to the Halifax County Board of Commissioners meeting on this Monday, October 2nd at 9:30. Thank each one of you for being here. At this time, we're going to have the invocation by Commissioner John Smith. We're going to do the Pledge of Allegiance in unison. And those of you who wish to join us, please stand.
Let us pray. Our Father in heaven, once again, this morning, that we come with our necessity for us to look mercy. As we come this morning, dear God, we come with our hearts give thanksgiving, our lips first with praise. Thank you, O gracious Master, because we realize it's in you that we live, move, and have our beings. So we feel it would only be robbery if we did not pause long enough to say thank you. Thank you, O gracious Master, for blessing us to start out on another day. As our journey has found us here this morning, dear God, to take care of business of this county, and Father, we pray, dear God, for wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. Help us, dear God, to do the things which be pleasing in your sight. Knowing that they're pleasing in your sight, then, dear God, would be beneficial to the people of this county. We thank you, dear God, for this county. We ask them, gracious Master, to bless us. We thank you, dear God, for this gentleman, our former Congressman GK Butterfield, who's here today to be honored. Gracious Master, realize you have said to give honor to whom honor is due. We ask them, gracious Master, continue to keep around your long arms of protection. Go with us to stand by. So in the mighty name of Jesus that we pray when we say amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, I thank you for that. Next item on the agenda is the adoption of the agenda. I do have one item on the closed session. We have item A, which is the approval of the closed session minutes. We do not have that for today, so we're going to ask that that be removed from the agenda, and we're going to substitute that with acquisition of property, matter that we need to discuss in closed session to be led by our county manager and our county attorney if he's present, but I want to note that Attorney Rollins has a matter representing us today in court, so that's why he's not here. But he may be able to be here shortly, depending on how that goes. Okay, with that being said, anything else to the agenda?
Move the agenda be adopted with that correction.
Second motion.
Okay, motion made by Vice Chair Brewer, second by Commissioner Johnson. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Okay, conflict of interest. In accordance with the Halifax County Board of Commissioners Rules of Procedure and the North Carolina General Statute Section 153A-44, it is the duty of every member present to vote on all matters coming before the board unless there is a conflict of interest as determined by the board or by law. Does any board member have a non-conflict of interest with respect to matters coming before the board today? Commissioner Johnson.
No conflict.
No conflict.
No conflict.
No conflict.
No conflict.
Madam Clerk, let the record so reflect that the 6 commissioners present do not have any conflict with matters coming before us today.
Yes, sir.
Next item is the consent agenda. On the consent agenda, you have item A, budget amendments, item B, property tax collection, refunds and releases, September 2023, and item C, Roanoke Rapids Graded School District lottery funds request, which that is the matter that's involved in the allocation we pay the county each year for the Manning School property in the amount of $200,000. Okay, any questions or comments regarding that? If not, I'll soon entertain a motion for the approval of the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Davis, second by Commissioner Smith, and I know Commissioner Smith is happy to have Commissioner Davis back over there. Got a big smile on his face. As we know, just before I carry the motion, Commissioner Davis has been through a lot. She lost her husband recently and had a wonderful homegoing service, and we're thankful that she's back with us. Okay, with that being said, all those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Okay. Now, item 2, special recognitions. We have 2 today, but this first one is coming up. I tell you, it's a heartbreaker for me personally, as well as professionally. Been a good friend of mine for a long time, even when he was dating back as an attorney, and that was before the judge days. But anyway, we're going to ask Commissioner Linda Brewer, who is the vice chair of this board, to come forward and pin the boutonniere on former Congressman GK Butterfield. Happy to have him and his lovely wife with us today. And he's on a tough time restraint too, so we need to be mindful of that.
Well, then I'll try not to pin him. I'm bad with the pen. Well. Which man made this? Dr. McCollum, we did a better job on yours. Stop. Because I'm old, don't mean I can't do it.
I think that's your way.
Sit on down. Sit down.
Like the former congressman used to say, court is in order.
Yeah.
Right, Madam DA, might happen to have our district attorney, Kim Scott, with us today too. Thank you for being here. Now, at this time, we're going to move to item 3 on the agenda on this sheet of paper that I have, which deals with the Halifax County Proclamation. And I'm going to ask that when you come forward, we're going to be like we in church, 3 minutes or less. And so please comply. And if you see me do one of these, I think if you go to the Baptist church, you know what that means. Okay, so with that being said, Commissioner Johnson, who is the senior commissioner on this board.
I think I'd like to be referred to everything but senior. Congressman Butterfield. He gave me 3 minutes, and I don't know if I can do it all in 3, but I'll do my best. We've known each other ever since the early 80s. And that came about because of my husband. And he declared that the election had been stolen from him when we talked on the telephone the morning after we determined that he was the winner. And he said to me, I'm going to see GK Butterfield. So he went to Wilson, and I'm pretty sure, knowing him as well as I did, that he just barged into your office and gave you an ultimatum. And as a result of that, you were courageous enough to take his case. And because of that, that's why I'm sitting on this board today. When we had the hearing in Halifax, there were people when you came in that didn't know you. And they were speaking among themselves, and they said, well, who is that? And after you finished with your presentation, they had no doubt in their mind who you were. You're not only known in Halifax County, you're known all across the country. And I'm so proud on the days that I watch TV, and like a little kid, when I see you on television, I'm like, there's GK Butterfield. Or when you exit from the President's aircraft, again say, there's GK Butterfield. I had the occasion to go to UT in Tennessee not long ago, and they cited this case. And the person who was the presenter asked, do you know who this attorney was for this case? And they were like, yes. And so he said, of course you do. That's Congressman GK Butterfield. And they were applauding. So the people in the courthouse that day were not aware of who you were. But now, everybody knows who you are all over the country. And I think 3 minutes, so read the proclamation honoring.
His fly will fall off.
Okay. The Honorable GK Butterfield, retired Congressman. Whereas it's with great admiration to the Halifax County Board of Commissioners, pauses in its deliberation to recognize the Honorable GK Butterfield, retired Congressman, for services rendered to Halifax County. And whereas the Honorable GK Butterfield has represented North Carolina's first congressional district for more than 18 years and was unanimously elected chairman of the Congressional Black Caucus for the 114th Congress. During his career, he also served as a North Carolina resident, Superior Court judge, associate judge on the North Carolina Supreme Court, and the North Carolina Special Superior Court judge. And whereas the Honorable GK Butterfield has been an advocate for county government on many critical issues and has made numerous important contributions to the citizens of North Carolina, and in particular Halifax County. While serving in his many capacities, he was instrumental in the lawsuit that established voting districts in the Halifax County Board of Commissioners District while representing Paul Johnson Sr. And whereas the Honorable GK Butterfield has proven to be a dedicated and extraordinary public servant and has demonstrated strong leadership, wisdom, creativity, and community spirit, thus enhancing community services, economic development, education, health, transportation, and improving Halifax County's unique quality of life. Now therefore be it resolved that the Halifax County Board of Commissioners does hereby thank and express its sincere appreciation to the Honorable GK Butterfield for his unselfish dedication and outstanding service to Halifax County and its citizens. Be it therefore resolved that the Halifax County Board of Commissioners does hereby proclaim October 2nd, 2023 as the Honorable GK Butterfield Day in Halifax County, and that the original of this proclamation be presented to the Honorable GK Butterfield, and that a copy of this proclamation is read from the minutes of the Halifax County Board of Commissioners the 7th day of October 2023. Signed by our chairman, Vernon Brown, and our clerk to the board, Andre Donovan. The adoption of this proclamation.
Okay, it's been motion by Commissioner Johnson. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, it's been seconded by Commissioner Salmon Webb. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Today is your day, Congressman.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Not finish it,
The
though.
other commissioners, thank you.
Not finish it, though. We'll give you an opportunity. Yeah. Okay, we got some good stuff in store for you, Congressman. Look, also, too, I've always been prejudiced to GK Butterfield. He knows that. You know, he's one of my best friends, and he knows that. And, you know, when he was on the bench, we used to have lunch and talk about church matters and everything else. But anyway, I just love that guy. And look, don't nobody fool you, he loves Halifax County. Other than Wilson, and he may tell you Halifax County is his favorite. Okay? At this time, we're going to hear from Commissioner Samuel Webb. He's got a presentation. And I don't know to call Commissioner Webb Reverend, Attorney, Commissioner. I just don't know, but anyway, he's all right.
Now, Congressman, now, most people know you as Congressman GK Butterfield. I met you when you were Superior Court Judge, and I appeared in front of you in Halifax County. So before you became a congressman, I knew you as a judge. Some people know you as this great civil rights attorney, as Ms. Johnson just talked about. But here in Halifax County, we are a special group of people, and we love to give hats away. This is not a typical hat. It's not anyone's hat. This is a Halifax County hat. Not Wilson, not Nash, not Durham, but a Halifax County hat. So what that means, even if you don't wear a hat, I don't wear hats. But if you do wear this hat sometime, when you put it on your head, you think about the great citizens of Halifax County will always support you for all these years. And as a reminder, they are thanking you for everything that you've done for our county. Now, if you decide you want to put your head on a shelf, like I do, when you walk by that shelf, you again think about the great citizens of Halifax County that have always supported you. We thank you. Thank you.
Okay, all right, at this time, we're going to, and Congressman, feel free to utilize that table behind you if you want to put your stuff on. Yep, no problem, you put all your stuff on there. You don't have to hold it. There you go. We're going to hear from Commissioner Shanoa Richardson Davis. She's got a special presentation. I think the Congressman really will like this one.
On behalf of the Halifax County Board of Commissioners, we'd like to present you with this token of appreciation for laying the groundwork and being a trailblazer for the citizens, for justice, even in Halifax County, but all across the state.
Shanoa. I'm going to get a picture right now.
Also, too, while they're taking pictures there, and we're going to have a session for that as well, we got to give our clerk to the board a round of applause.
Amen.
She put that together. She sent me several emails and a few phone calls about it, but she put it together. Great job, Ms. Wiggins. Thank you so much. Okay, and thank you, Commissioner Davis, for that presentation. Next, we're going to hear from the Halifax County NAACP President, Mr. David Harvey.
GK Butterfield. Listen, nobody appreciates a civil rights attorney more than David Harvey. And I will tell you, I was listening to Commissioner Johnson and talk about that lawsuit back in the 80s. But I'm gonna put a little bit more emphasis on that, because I don't think a lot of people in this county realize or understand the impact of that lawsuit and how it's affected this county. GK, you look around this board, and I'm telling you, you would not see this even in 2023. You would not see this county commissioner board look like this, and certainly you would not Chairman Bryant be chairman. And neither would James Spears before you. Had Horace Johnson, Vernon Johnson's husband, not taken that bold position and filing that lawsuit, and GK Butterfield taking that case and arguing it, and we got the results we got. This is the results of that lawsuit, not only here in Halifax County, but across the state. That lawsuit was impactful, more than just here. And people don't realize that. And it also impacted this county beyond the county commissioners, because we always, as civil rights workers, we're always trying and working hard to get people to vote, educate them on the importance of voting, and then to actually get them to vote. But we also have to get people to run for office, to people of color. That hasn't always been easy, and it certainly wasn't back in the 80s. But today, because of that lawsuit, we have opportunities. Doors have opened in many areas where we have stepped in of African Americans. We have, for the first time, an African American sheriff in this county. Keep in mind, this is a county that is a majority minority. Well, back in the 80s, it was even more a majority minority. But for the first time, we have an African American sheriff. We have an African American district attorney. These are things that probably would not have happened even now, had it not been that lawsuit back in the 80s that spurred more than just the county commissioners board. So we have to put emphasis on that. That was historic, and not only here in Halifax County, but across the state and across this country. But GK, I can tell you, when I came to this county as the NAACP president back in the early 2000s, Ms. Johnson, your husband, Horace Johnson, and I sit down, and he gave me the whole history of that lawsuit. Mr. Horace Johnson, he told me all about GK Butterfield. And then I had the opportunity to meet with you, and I want to thank you for all the support you've given me. Every time I reached out to you, whether it's your Wilson office or your office in Washington, GK Butterfield would say to me, I'm going to always take a call from the NAACP. And that was important to me. And I want to thank you for everything that you've done. But I want to give you a special thanks because you have did something that none of your predecessors have had to do. We've had great Congress people from Eva Clayton, Frank Balance, GK, and now Don Davis. But you're the only one, and you should be getting a proclamation for this, who's had to deal with that craziness in Washington with Trump. And them right-wing, mega Republicans, I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about, Warburg and Matt Gates and that crew. You had to deal with that for the last 4 or 6 years. So you should get a proclamation just for that.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Harvey. You know, speaking about the Congressman Don Davis do send his regrets. He hadn't wanted to be here today, but we all know what's going on in Congress right now, and that's really where he needs to be. But he wanted to let former Congressman Butterfield know that his thoughts, his prayers, his wishes are with him, and I think you all do communicate on a regular basis. At this time, we're going to be blessed by the Ministry of Music, Mr. Augustus Cofield. Will you please come forward? Now, if you all have never heard this guy sing, get ready.
Thank you, Chairman Brown.
Yes, sir.
Congressman Butterfield, thank you for your service to the citizens of this county, of this state, of this country, of this nation. Thank you for your personal relationships, collectively and individually. You've done well. God is pleased. We are pleased. I want to leave this song with you. If I can help somebody as I pass along, if I can cheer somebody with a word or a song, if I can show some traveler they are traveling wrong, then my living shall not be in vain. If I can do my duty as a good man ought, if I can bring back beauty to the world abroad, if I can spread love's message that the Master taught, then my living shall not be in vain. Then my living shall not be in vain. Then my living shall not be in vain. If and help. Just one somebody as I pass along. Then your living has not been in vain.
I tell you what, that is one young man that Vernon Brown can sit and listen to all day. He has an incredible voice. Thank you, Mr. Cofield, appreciate that. Because we had a good one last time, Reverend Cullen, ministered music from his church. Michael Hawkins did a great job as well. They're two of the best, in my opinion. At this time, we're going to move to, we got our North Carolina representative, Michael Ray. We'll hear from you this time.
Well, good morning to everyone.
Good morning.
County Commissioners, I'm privileged to be here. Ms. Davis, your family continues to be in our prayers through your journey. Congressman, family, nice to meet your beautiful bride. He still thinks his little family, he runs around, but talking to everybody. She's standing there, and you're truly a Southern lady. So you're very blessed to have a great man, and I wish you both many, many years of happiness, because he's a really good man, and I'm sure you're a good lady. But it's an honor and privilege to be here today. Congressman, you've always been a good friend. We go way back. We met in Fraser's a long time ago and talked a little bit, and I would call him, and he would answer the phone on the house floor or wherever he would be at, and he would always call back. That's one thing about you. You serve us proudly, honorably, and I know now you're doing bigger and better things and enjoying life and continue to do what you love to do, be in Washington, continue making a difference. But I know you got to get on the road, but thank everyone for you all taking time to come, because this is a special day here for Halifax County and for Congressman Butterfield, GK. So this is a proclamation, acknowledgement from George Kenneth Butterfield Jr. All known as GK. That's good. But whereas GK Butterfield was born on April 27, 1947, and raised in Wilson, North Carolina. Whereas GK Butterfield is a lawyer and Democratic Party politician who served as the United States Representative for North Carolina 1st Congressional District from 2004 to 2022. Whereas GK Butterfield earned his bachelor's of arts degree in political science and sociology from North Carolina Central University. He attended North Carolina Central University School of Law, where he received a Juris Doctor degree in 1974, whereas GK Butterfield, upon completing law school, began his legal career as a civil rights attorney, practicing across eastern North Carolina and winning many voting rights cases. Whereas GK Butterfield, beginning in 1989, served as a resident Superior Court judge in District 7 BC, presided over civil and criminal court in 46 North Carolina counties for 12 years. As a longtime advocate of civil rights, he was appointed to serve as an Associate Justice of the North Carolina Supreme Court by Governor Mike Easley in 2001 until 2003. Whereas GK Butterfield was a member of the Congressional Black Caucus and served as chair from 2015 to 2017. Whereas GK Butterfield has been a lifelong champion for people while fighting for civil rights, eliminating voter suppression, and protecting our elections. Therefore, be resolved that Representative Michael H. Ray, member of the North Carolina House of Representatives, 27th District, is proud to recognize George Kenneth Butterfield Jr. on this special day of recognition by Halifax County Board of Commissioners this second day of October in the year 2023. Michael H. Ray. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Representative Ray. Also, I want to recognize his legal assistant, Cheryl Edwards, who is ever present and helping. Thank you for being here too, Cheryl. Okay, Warren County Commissioner T. Davis is not here. He's also the president-elect of the North Carolina Association of County Commissioners, but he wanted me to express to you his congratulations and all your hard work, and I want to say thank you so much. He had another commitment. He may pop in the door, but he does have another commitment. At this time, we're going to hear from another one of your good friends and my good friend, retired Superior Court Judge Al Mahent.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Friends. It's just an honor to say that. Vernon, keep your seat.
Okay. All right.
On January 1, 1991, I had the honor of meeting this fine man. I've heard about it before because I had the honor of attending North Carolina Central Law School, which was his school as well, and so I heard about GK Butterfield. But on January 1, 1991, I met him. That was the day. That was the day that I first came to Halifax County, and I was sworn in as an assistant district attorney. And I was like, oh, there's GK Butterfield. To actually meet an icon was great. Little did I know that I was going to appear before him on many DWIs. Appear before him as an assistant district attorney and learn, didn't realize I was learning so much, but learning so much from him. And from there he became a mentor of mine, and it was just, I learned so much. I learned about Harsh Johnson. I learned about so many things about Halifax County from this Wilson native. Like Vernon said, he loves, Commissioner.
That's okay. Always burn it to you, Judge.
Said he loves Halifax County, and it was evident when he came to hold court here. Now, sometimes, D.A. Scott, we would have 2 sessions of court back to back. Judge Butterfield would be in one session, and then, more forceful judge, or more, well, you know. And it was nothing to hear a bailiff say, you need to go ahead and take that plea now because next week it's going to be something together. So he was very kind, and he liked his forms. He liked things to be decent and in order. Yeah, like those forms. Remember those forms?
I remember those forms of probation.
But he later became, from mentorship, he became my friend. And every decision that I made, well, also on that, let me go back to that day. That day, I also met Doc Brown. I don't remember meeting Harsh Johnson that day, but he later became one of those people that I relied on as well. Doc Brown, Eugene Bryant, and I got to learn, to sit at the knee and learn and listen to the stories from them. And they all became such strong mentors and such strong friends. And I am blessed today to be able to call him my friend, to my lifelong good friend, and to go from icon to mentor to friend is just an unimaginable blessing. And I am so honored and blessed to be here to honor him.
Okay. Wow, that was touching, Judge. Okay, we're going to hear from another one of your good friends. First, African-American President of Halifax Community College, Dr. Irvin Griffin.
Which one is it?
No, you. Look, Dr. Elliott is after you. You know, I mean, she's here. We appreciate having her, but it's on you.
Traffic director.
Congressman Butterfield, I came here in December 1st, 2006, and on December 4th, my second day in office, I had this person come to visit me. And the person said, do you know, I can't remember the lady's name, but she's on the OIC board in Charleston, West Virginia, and I knew her. Spurlock, yeah. We sat down and we talked and everything. Then he said the magic word. What can I do for you? Well, I had a list of things, and he said, I can't do it this year because we're not doing earmarks this year. But have it ready for next year. We got $188,000 that next year and $150,000, right, $150,000 the next year after that. And we didn't have simulation labs for our nursing programs, but that started. And we needed a new dental hygiene to take all these wonderful pictures that you had. And I love Congressman Butterfield because he's something like Senator Byrd from West Virginia. And he said his big job was to bring the money back. And he did. And he helped me so much with that. And I think about, how many of you know about the Pride program? The Pride program, we had that program and we went to DC with my board and we were talking to one of his staff members and they happened to mention that there's a new designation called a PBI. It's a predominantly black institution grant. Long story short, we got $3 million out there to start that program because of visiting to his office. And the other thing, I know I got 3 minutes, Reverend, give me 3 minutes. He would always welcome my board when we went to DC for the legislative Congress. And I always appreciated that because and sometimes he would be voting and he'd have to come back, but he would always talk with my board and I always appreciated that. And the third thing was, every year, he would find some way, somehow, to come visit our students at Halifax Community College every year. And he would do some type of presentation for our students, and they really looked forward to that. Because, you know, I know all of you know him on a personal level, but he has always been a great role model for me, because regardless of what people say or what people do, they might say one thing to your face and another thing behind your back.
That's right.
But he was always straightforward because he would tell me either he could do it or he couldn't do it. And I appreciate that. And a lot of things that you see at that college right now came through many grants and earmarks. A lot of them you see and a lot of them you don't see. For instance, we had one that was, what, 20,000? Any of you have backup generators so you don't lose all of your data at the end of the day? Well, that wasn't about $25,000, but that means a whole lot if we would lose all our data at the conference.
That's right.
So he provided funding for those types of things. And I just appreciate that. And I know 2 minutes is 30 seconds. Congressman, I have been working to make JET, and I'm on Social Security now. So the old days I could do that. But for you and your wife, I have some of my Parajam.
Dr. Griffin, turn around for a second and tell us, you were honored recently with an award. My memory, I'm a senior citizen too, I can't think of what it was. Just tell us about your award real quick. You got recognized recently in some award.
Oh, that was one of the trailblazers from, I think it was North Carolina State University, the Belk Center,
Right.
being one of the first African-American presidents in North Carolina. When I came along, President Elliott, it wasn't about 3 or 4 of us out of 58, and you had a system that is almost 50% people of color. So
Okay.
it was
Good
from the
job.
Belk Center.
Yeah, congratulations, I saw that award. Okay. Okay,
I like it.
Mr. James Mills, member of the Halifax County School Board.
Don't tell everything.
Congressman, you may have a seat.
Chairman Bryan, Honorable Board of Commissioners. The Honorable GK Butterfield is the first person in the world to ever call me honorable. He called and said, "Hello, Honorable Mayor." And I just have to say that I'd like to see if there's any way that I can take out a warrant against all the people that spoke before me. They stole all my thunder. Be able to make sure she prosecute their case. But all of the wonderful things that they've said about GK Butterfield are absolutely true. And I want you to know another little thing about him. And I don't know if it comes out when you talk to him or not. And he and I have something in common. He is a lover of history. This man is steeped in history. And I'll never forget when he came to Scotland Neck to help us and talk to us about economic development. But he came to Scotland Neck and we were riding back from Cinnamon Heights and he and I rode together. So we had a little chance to talk. So I said, this is my chance to update him on the history of Scotland Neck. And when I started talking, oh my God, he started talking. And I shut up. And anytime James Mills shuts up. But I just want to say that on behalf of Halifax County Schools, on behalf of the Southern Christian Leadership Conference and the President Emeritus, Dr. C.E. McCullough, that I want to give you something that means a lot to me. And then the reason it means so much to me, and they say that if you give somebody something that means a lot to you or from your collection, you know, you're giving somebody really something that you value. This is a coin, and I have given this same coin, not the same coin, but I give a coin, a symbol, to Congresswoman Clayton. But I'm giving this to you. It's a coin that has the face on it of Marcus Garvey. It's actually $1 from the paper. And on it, it's a right honorable Marcus Garvey. And he was a role model, you've been a role model. And I salute you for that and for being my friend. God bless you. Thank you.
Mr. Mills, thank you so much for that. Appreciate it. Yes, sir. Thank you. Okay, Congressman, we're getting close to the end here. Any comments or anything else from any of the commissioners or the staff at this time? I think that most commissioners have spoken anyway. Just about all of us have. I do want to recognize all the elected officials in the audience. I know I see Carl Furby, he's the Mayor Pro Tem in Rock Rapids, and Congressman, you've spoken to his church, I've been there, and he's been in charge of the program, and I want you to know, Congressman, that after 27 years on the Rock Rapids City Council, Carl Furby is leaving. And that's very disappointing to me personally, because he's a friend as well and has done a great job serving that council. My wife, Sandra Bryant, sitting up front, she serves with him. And McCall has just been a tremendous leader. Do want to recognize, I see Ophelia Groove Face, and she's a member of the Town Commission in Littleton. Dr. Eric Cunningham, our Halifax County Superintendent, he's with us. Dr. Elliott, President, Halifax Community College currently. And thank you for being here. Our DA was here earlier, as you know, she left. Reverend C. McCullen, you've been in his church numerous times for African American History Month. I've been there when you have spoken numerous times at Oak Grove Missionary Baptist Church. And we recognized Reverend McCullen last month. Raise your hand, Rev. There you go. And, and Reverend McCullen is a fine man, 80 plus, having a lot of challenges. And, but you know what he told me? He called me up, he said, Vernon, I'm going to be there with GK today. And that's tremendous. I do want to also, have I left out any elected officials? Don't want to do that. Okay, I see my good friends over there. They're not elected officials, but Ray and Susan Bowman, thank y'all for being here as well. Special thanks to the Halifax County Board of Commissioners and our clerk, Andrea Wiggins. Boy, she has worked on this. All you got to do is give Andrea, Congressman, you appreciate having her as a clerk when you were a judge, Judge Hinton. All you got to do is just write something down and give it to her. She'll take it and run with it and get it right. And, just tremendous. She has great administrative skills, and we appreciate having her. Halifax County Manager, best in the state, Ms. Dia Denton, thank you for her support, and Renee Purvitt, Christina Wells, the Sheriff Tyree Davis, and, just the news media, thank you so much. Okay, la-da-da and everybody, I think I've covered most. We got our Board of Elections Director here, Health Department Director, DSS Director, Felicia Exum is here, and Bill Riggs, and we got Lauren Matlin. And you know what, and Florine Bell, Reverend Florine Bell, raise your hand. Okay, with that being said, Congressman, we're going to hear from you at this time.
Wow.
3 minutes.
In the House of Representatives, everybody's limited to a time limit except for the leader of each political party. I don't know if you all saw Hakeem Jeffries on Saturday when he spoke during the debate, but he went on for 40 minutes. It's called a magic minute. Thank you so very much for coming today. It's good to see all of you again. I think I know most of you in the audience, and I just thank you so much for your friendship and your support. And to the county commissioners, I am very grateful to each one of you for your friendship. Thank you for what you mean to this county. The role of a county commissioner is very important. It's a constitutional office. Unlike many other municipal offices across the state, it is the county commissioner, the board of county commissioners that really speaks for the county. And thank all of you for the work that you do. During my 18 years serving in Congress, every time I would come into Halifax County, I will talk about how special Halifax County is to me. And I just want you to know that was not political talk, that was not hyperbole, when I said it, I meant it. I have a very strong bond and affinity with Halifax County, and for you to reach out to me and to bestow these honors on me today is really gratifying. And so when Ms. Wiggins called me a few weeks ago and said, we really need for you to accept one of these 3 dates, 3 possible dates, and we chose this date as the date that we could come by. And so my wife and I talked about it. Usually she is at work on Monday morning. Sylvia is my wife, Sylvia, and she's responsible for $1 billion. Not a million, $1 billion at the National Science Foundation in Washington, D.C. We knew that this was going to be the weekend for a possible shutdown. And so she's been very nervous all weekend. So when they announced the settlement over the weekend, she was relieved. Because had they not reached a settlement, she would have had to been on an airplane last night headed back to Washington, D.C. But now that they got that behind us, at least for 45 days, she was able to join me today. And so thank you, Sylvia, for coming. And I tell you all these stories as we drive and fly around the country, but now you hear firsthand from firsthand accounts. This is not hearsay anymore. This is firsthand. But let me tell you why I am so connected to Halifax County. And we're running out of time. I've got a few things that I could share with you, but I'm just going to condense it down just to one or two things. I do know the history of Halifax County. I know that when the Civil War came to an end, there were some 12,000 slaves living here in Halifax County. And those slaves became free. The first thing they did was to build churches in Halifax County. Oh, and did they do it well. First Baptist, Oak Grove, I can just call the list. They built churches in this county. The next thing they did was to build schools. In the 1880s, the North Carolina legislature authorized what we call the graded school system. Graded school system that you hear about in Halifax County, they established graded schools. These schools sprung up all across Halifax County in the 1880s and the 1890s. Well, those schools were really insufficient. They were elementary grades, 1, 2, 3, and 4. They were elementary grades. Didn't have the middle schools and the high school. And so in 1895, that's when Joseph Kelsey Brick, his wife, came into Halifax County and brought her wealth into Halifax County and bought land in the infield community and built this school called Brick School. And that may not mean a lot to some people. Let me tell you, Brick School was the epicenter for black education in eastern North Carolina. And because of that, African Americans started coming to Halifax County to get an education. They started buying land in Halifax County, and more African Americans owned land in Halifax County than any other county in North Carolina. And so this was the place to be. And so in 1895, another man came named N. Boyden. Mr. N. Boyden came, I think he may have come from Virginia. He came over and ran Brick School. Something else happened in 1895. My uncle, my mother's sister's husband, his name was Frank Leon Booker from Scotland Neck, came over from Scotland Neck and went to Brick School. And after doing that, he settled in Enfield. Married my mother's sister, lived right there on Plank Street in Enfield. She was a teacher in Borden Elementary School. It wasn't elementary school, in Borden School at the time, and stayed there for many, many years. And so when I say that I have a connection to Halifax County, that's just where it begins. And then on another day, my mother's brother, his name William Davis, not the W.B. Davis School, but another Davis, became the principal of Rab Bunch School in Weldon. It had another name before Rab Bunch. It was whatever, it wasn't the greatest school, it was another name that they called it, but then it became the Rab Bunch School there in Weldon. He was the principal there. And he would drive up on Sunday night, he would stay in Weldon all during the week, he'd come home on Friday. He unfortunately was killed in a car accident in 1955. And so I say all of that to say that my relationship with this county is strong and it is deep. And when you reach out to me and say, we want you to come to hear a few words from our citizens, it was my honor to accept, and I thank you very much for what you have done today. I will close with one final point. A lot of people think that Eva Clayton was the first African-American congressperson from this county. That is not so. There was an African-American congressperson from Halifax County in 1882. His name was James Edward O'Hara. It might have been 1884. Yes, 1884. James Edward O'Hara from Enfield was elected to Congress. After serving in Congress for 4 years, he became the chairman of the Halifax County Board of Commissioners. And so that's a lot of history that we must celebrate. I'm delighted to be a part of your county. Thank you so very much for your friendship. I will go back to Washington today, and I will take all of these items with me. I will put this cap right next to the Northampton County cap that I have. And the Wilson County cap. We'll just have a whole bookcase full of caps. But I'm very grateful to all of you, and thank you so much for your friendship.
Thank you.
Now, we got one or two other things we got to do, and then we'll be at ease for a few minutes. But hold tight for a second. I do want to recognize Kathy Scott, Economic Development Director. I fail to recognize Kathy
And that
Dr.
cat has magic powers. He forgot to tell you about.
And also to Dr. Frederick, DSS Chair of the board. I want to recognize you too. I don't know if I did that earlier. Now, this is what we're going to do, y'all. I give instructions very well, right, colleagues?
Yes.
See the shaking head? All right. What we're going to do is, we're going to take pictures with the congressman. First of all, we're going to ask all the commissioners, everybody up here, including the county manager, to go down with the congressman and Mrs. Butterfield. Thank you for being here as well.
Yes,
Appreciate you.
yes.
We're going to take pictures with them, and then after that, I want the presenters to come up, and we're going to take pictures as well. So I want everybody to just kind of stay in the seat, don't be moving around, come and try to shake Congressman's hand right now. Talk to him. Just let us do this, and then we're going to ask at the end, and I'll give instructions. It's going to be pretty quick. We're going to ask, he don't know he's got the calling yet, the guy in Pink Town, but he does. And we'll ask John Smith to do the blessing. We have a little repast, small repast out in the hallway for those of you who want to partake of that. So, at this time, first thing we do, my colleagues, let's go up here for the Congressman and Mrs. Butterfield. And let's take pictures. You know, I used to enjoy working with the Congressman in court as a judge. I can tell it now. He used to work you to death.
Sure did.
Okay.
Last week of court, as a judge, was right here in Halifax County. Last week of court.
Yeah. So I guess we'll just get up.
Yes. Close. So do your pageant, you know, one side to the other. Okay. Beautiful. All right. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. That's good. Anyone else? Have them get out of the way.
Okay, all right, now, the presenters, all presenters. Come on, take a picture with the Congressman.
Together, right?
Carl. You do the first.
No, I cannot.
All right, y'all. Scooch together, like with love.
I want it.
That's very good. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Very nice. Did I miss anyone?
You know, I tried to get Carl Furman to take one, he said, that's okay. Okay, now, this time, we're going to ask Commissioner Smith to do the blessing of the food, and we'll be at ease for let's say about 15 minutes, blessing of the food.
James, God, that we work with all the grace, kind of gracious master, thank you for this occasion. We thank you, God, for the man that has been honored here today. Realize what gracious master said earlier, that you have said any word to give honor to whom honor is due. We ask not your blessed food, which has been prepared for the benefits of our body. As you bless us, dear God, help us always to be mindful to help those who are less fortunate. In your son Jesus' name we pray and say amen.
Amen. Yeah, thank you, Congressman. much. Appreciate you being here. We're back in order. I have a retirement resolution for, and I don't think he's here. Oh, there he is.
There you are, you slipped in.
Come on up, David. You don't present this to you. David and I go way back. I was a new probation officer. David was a new deputy sheriff. We didn't know we were going, but we tried. That's all that matters. David, it gives me great pleasure to stand before this body and read this resolution. You and I have been, we've worked together. We've been friends for a very long time, and just have had a wonderful relationship. Very proud to do this. Resolution. Whereas David A. Foles decided to retire as a detention captain in the Halifax County Sheriff's Office effective September 30th of the year 2023. Whereas he has spent 5 years with the local government, David has also served with many positions in Congress and community and state, as well as being a dedicated public servant to the citizens of Halifax County. And therefore be it resolved that on this day, Monday, October 2nd, in the year of 2023, the Halifax County Board of Commissioners did honor David A. Foles. The formal adoption of this resolution being recorded in the minutes of the meeting of this day. Vernon Brown, Chairman, Fred Wiggins, clerk to the board. At this time, I'll make a motion that we accept this into our minutes.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Brown, second by Commissioner Johnson. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, like sign. Okay. And also, we got a retirement pin for you. She's very proud and well, like I want mine. And, but David, thank you so much for your years of service, and most of all, thank you for your friendship to me personally, as well as professionally. God bless you.
Thank you.
David, one other thing, if you have any comments, you're free to say anything you want to.
I've been in law enforcement since 1978, and I started with the sheriff's department in '86, and I came back 5 years ago to work in the jail, and something I thought I'd never do, but I enjoyed it, I really did, and it's something that needs some care and some attention.
Amen.
It's really tough working there,
Yeah.
as far as the physical part of
Yeah.
the building.
Yeah.
And, I hope someday they get what they need to take care of business and make it safer for the people there and the jail staff.
We do
I
too.
appreciate y'all for what you do, and thank you for doing
Thank you.
everything that you've done over the years.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you,
David.
David.
Appreciate it. And David, just so you know, we got about 40 or 50 boards
At least.
that we appoint people to serve on.
Yes, sir.
And you certainly welcome to consider any one of those boards.
Appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Okay, the next item we're going to move to, I don't think, Madam Clerk, we don't have anyone for public comment, do we? Sign up. Okay, all right. So we'll go past that then. All right, the next one is the agenda items. We'll hear from Lori Medlin, President, CEO of she's going to have her annual Halifax County.
How about Shane?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Shane.
Oh, okay, all right. I'm sorry, Ms. Melton. We're going to go, thank you, Ms. Denton. We're going to do the public hearing, item 4, which is the schedule of values. Just give me a second, let me find it. Okay, all right. We have a public hearing on 2024 schedule of values. And just before we open the public hearing up, I'm going to read a statement, and we also going to hear from Mr. Lynch. At first, before I read the statement, Mr. Lynch, where are you? Do you have any comments you want to make about the 2024 schedule of values? I know you had talked about that before, and it gives us information in the previous meeting.
No, sir, I've done my presentation. This is the public's opportunity to make any comments they have prior to adoption.
Okay, all right, thank you, sir. Okay, this is going to be a public hearing regarding the 2024 schedule of values. And the opening statement for the public hearing is as follows. Public hearings are held for the purpose of receiving comments from the public regarding a specific subject. Those persons designed to speak will give their name, their physical address, their phone number, and the name of the organization they are speaking for, if applicable. We request that each speaker limit their comments solely to the issue at hand and not direct comments towards specific individuals. In the interest of time, please do not repeat facts or issues covered by previous speakers. If you wish to comment, you should express your opinion on the subject matter and give the board an understanding of whether you favor or oppose the issue being discussed. The Halifax County Board of Commissioners values and appreciates the opportunity to listen to the citizens of Halifax County and respectfully request that the above guidelines be followed. Okay, with that being said, Commissioners, what is your pleasure in regarding the 2024 schedule of values public hearing? I need a motion to open that for.
So moved.
Okay, motion made by Vice Chair Wood, second by Ms. Johnson.
Yes.
Okay, second by Commissioner Johnson. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. All right, the hearing is officially open. If you would like to speak, please come to the podium and follow my previous instructions.
Mr. Chair, not seeing anyone asking to speak, I move that this public hearing be closed.
Okay, motion made by Commissioner Johnson. Is there a second? Second. Second by Commissioner Webb. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, like sign. Okay. No one spoke at your public hearing, Officer. Okay, item 5, agenda items. Now, we're going to hear from Lori Matlin, President and CEO of the Halifax County Visitors Bureau. She's going to give us her annual report. Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you.
Good morning, Chairman Bryant and Commissioners, elected officials, and guests. I lost my audience. I'm so excited. We are pleased to be here today to present the Halifax County Tourism Development Authority's annual report. Nice, I'll put it on the screen, wouldn't it?
Down there, there you go.
For 2022-23. And before I get started, I just love this picture. This is of the new amphitheater at Lakeland Cultural Arts Center, the Fitz Outdoor Amphitheater. They had an free outdoor summer concert series every Saturday this summer. It had over 7,000 attendees in total. So another new attraction that we can all be very proud of. Page down? Down to go forward. Okay. The highlight of 2022 was undoubtedly the record-breaking visitor spending in Halifax County, totaling an impressive $121.75 million spent here in Halifax County by our visitors. These numbers come from a study commissioned by Visit NC with the U.S. Travel Association. Our occupancy tax funds left in our community by visitors rose 7.4% from the previous year, and short-term rentals experienced a remarkable surge of over 15% last year. Quite impressive. This is a little summary of how things have gone since 2016. As you can see, we're on an upward trajectory normally, except for that special year of 2020 that we all just want to forget. Visitors spent over $27 million in lodging here last year, over $39 million in food and beverage, over $15 million in recreation, over $10 million in retail, and over $28 million in transportation. These are impressive numbers that really still have room to grow. Tourism isn't just about visitors, it's about our community. We are proud to have directly and indirectly employed over 1,000 individuals, providing great jobs and stability. The total payroll generated by direct employment in Halifax County was over $29 million last year. State tax revenues reached over the $5.2 million mark. And I love this number, $3.8 million in local taxes were generated from sales and property tax revenue from travel-generated and travel-supported businesses. I know you guys like to hear those numbers. Visitor spending in Halifax County saved each taxpayer a little over $188 on their tax bill, and we have room to really improve that in the future. So, our comprehensive marketing strategy is crafted to showcase the diverse and captivating offers of our county. I have never been so excited and so proud and had such interesting things to market as I have this past year. This was a earned media piece that appeared in our state magazine. It was about a 6-page spread on all the exciting things happening in Littleton, where to eat, where to shop, where to see a show. Just a wonderful piece that we were able to work with Visit and See to do. We reached an audience of over 341 million in our paid and earned media. Just a record-breaking year for paid advertising and earned media. Our primary objective is to ignite the desire to explore and experience our county's treasures. We encourage visitors to extend their stay and stay in our welcoming accommodations. People are looking for what Halifax County has to offer more and more since COVID. We are a perfect destination for those coming from Raleigh and Richmond and Charlotte and even DC to spend a weekend and feel like they're in a rural community but have some wonderful offerings. One of our focuses has been on promoting safe and enriching outdoor activities, which we have so many of. And the charm of our distinctive hometowns took center stage in our marketing endeavors. And we're working on a new magazine for Halifax County, and it's going to be organized by community. And I think you guys are going to be really proud that we reach all the way to Hopgood and all the way to Hollister to talk about Halifax County. We're excited and can't wait to show that to you. We build upon our reputation as a pet-friendly destination, and we further amplified this message by spotlighting our pet-friendly partners. We have pet-friendly hotels. Even the new distillery is pet-friendly. So that has become a real travel trend. Social media continues to be a priority. Marketing our destination, being able to share our experiences. We reached over 14,000 followers daily this year with our social media platforms. And this is just an example of the things we talk about all over the county, things to see and do and enjoy and be proud of. Our top platforms are Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. We reached over 1.7 million impressions and over 92,000 engagements this year with our social media platforms. Basically free PR, except for the effort we have to put in. Our billboards speak to our largest audience, Interstate 95, which is our bread and butter, as you all know. Our permanent and temporarily placed billboards reached over 162 million impressions last fiscal year. It's kind of an impressive number. We work with Visit and See on co-op opportunities and publications like Southern Living, and we also do paid advertising in Our State, USA Today, Reunions Magazine, the North Carolina Inland Hunting and Fishing Guide, Travel Taste and Tour. We try to leave no stone unturned to tell our wonderful story of here in Halifax County. We had a new opportunity this year. We did a half-page ad in the North Carolina Travel Guide that reached over 550,000 readers year-round. That's a year-long publication. So we're happy to be able to do that and talk about the Roanoke Canal Trail, the Roanoke River, and Meetup Mountain State Park. This was the year of the trails for Visit and See. Something we did for the first time, which was one of the most impactful things we did this year, is something called a satellite media tour. We hosted Weldon Mills Distillery, Whit Tuttle, the executive director of Visit and See, and Bruce Tyler, the co-founder of Weldon Mills Distillery. We were located at the distillery. We spoke with TV stations across the country to talk about things that make North Carolina special. The media tour has reached more than 7.9 million people with over 1,125 airings. We talked to TV stations from the East Coast to the West Coast during the course of a day, and they aired us live, and some of them have repeated the stories. It's been incredibly impactful. We want to do that again as we look towards the 250th and be based in Halifax. We also, as a part of that effort, partnered with Visit and See to bring in some Airbnb social media influencers to talk about things in Halifax County, and I'm going to read those to you. I know you can read, but Sylvan Heights Bird Park, Weldon Mills Distillery, the Blue Jay Bistro, Meetup Mountain State Park, the Roanoke Canal Trail, the Hen and the Hog, Lake Gaston, Once Upon a County Line, and Daphne's Coffee Shop. Just think about all those things that were of interest to visitors to come and see. That campaign alone, with those three influencers reached over 1.7 million people. So as you can see, social media is critical to what we do.
And Laura, also, I want to point out those things that you just mentioned. Can you go back to that previous slide? You know, folks need to remember, we as locals, and I know people come from the outside, but we as locals need to support those places.
I know.
It is real important that we do that.
We talk to so many people that work in the industry that don't know about these things. We're going to really make a new effort with our new community college president to reach out to the people in this hospitality industry once again, so that they don't say there's nothing to do in Halifax County.
Plenty to do.
Plenty to do. So we extend our heartfelt thanks to our dedicated team, who, by the way, is here today. Susan Wilhelm, stand up. Rich Lithgow, stand up. Kathy Scott is on our board. You know Kathy. And Mary Duncan is on our board. And Sandra Bryant is our lone board member here today. We want to give her a round of applause. She is wonderful. I had a few others, but somehow I lost them. I could not do this job without that team and these board members, and you guys appoint those board members to this board, and your thoughtful consideration of that and putting people on that board that really care about Halifax County and represent the different parts of the county and the different interests of the county make it all possible. I can't tell you how grateful I am. It's those commitments that make our job possible. And this is a great new shot I just wanted to share with you that we're going to use it out. We're working on a new video and a new magazine for Halifax County. And this just shows you a group of visitors enjoying Halifax County together in unity and really exploring all that we had. We just happened upon them one day at the Hen and the Hog, and I just love this picture and can't wait to use it in media. I just love the unity of it and how it expresses all the wonderful things here in Halifax County. So I just want you guys to be extra proud of our county this year and all we've done to tell the story, and next year's going to be even better. So thank you for your time this morning.
Thank you. Okay, any comments or questions to Laura in regards to her report?
I have one question.
Okay.
Mr. Chair.
All right, Commissioner Johnson?
You mentioned that you wanted to have an increase in bed and breakfast hotels or whatever. How does one that's already there contact you so they can get some coverage?
They just go to visithalifax.com. My phone numbers are there, my email address is there, our website is there, and we have a special landing page where we have curated all of the Airbnbs and the VRBOs in Halifax County, so we can kind of help people find those and not go outside our county. That's on Visit Halifax. But anybody who's got a new Airbnb or a new VRBO or just doing it on their own needs to call us, come see us, make sure they're sending us pictures. We need to follow them on social, because just what good thing they're making for breakfast makes a great social media post, and we can really help amplify their message. We can use their photography and our collateral. We are just desperate for people to reach out to us with new information. So you give them, my direct line, you give it to them and make sure they come and see us. We can be a huge help to make a new business successful, any kind of tourism-related business.
We have one in Hollister.
I don't think we know about one in Hollister. Please tell them to call me. Or you give me their number and I'll call them.
Okay.
That's an area that's totally untapped and so close to Menot Mountain State Park. We can really make a nice connection there. Sorry, I
Very good.
digress.
Okay, no, that's not a problem. Anything else, Commissioner?
Will you all help with assist potential people the bread and breakfast and other businesses that may come on? Will you assist them with a business plan and marketing?
We are a destination marketing organization. We have a small business center at the community college, which can be, I understand, very helpful with a business plan and maybe helping find funding. We are the people that help market what they have and tell the story, which is equally as important. So, yes, we need to know about them. They're missing a huge opportunity if we don't know. We can sort of give them an understanding of how many visitors are coming to their area, depending on where they're located. We can help them in the beginning, but once they get started, we're their marketing organization.
Okay, very good. Anyone else? All right, we do need a motion to just accept her report.
So moved.
Motion made by Vice Chair Brewer, second by Commissioner Johnson. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, like sign. Okay, Laura, on behalf of the commissioners, we do thank you for all your hard work, your leadership, and your board, their leadership as well. But Thank you so much. Job well done as always.
Thank you. Thank you for that, those board members. I appreciate it.
Okay. All right, this time we're going to hear from another director, our elections director, Kristen Scott. Good morning.
Good morning. Kristen. I am not going to be before you long. I just wanted to be able to provide an update in terms of what is taking place with the election laws and how they are changing. So as you may know, voters will begin to show photo ID starting with the elections this year. And most of the citizens probably already contain one of the most used, which would be a driver's license. But some of the IDs that voters could use would be a North Carolina driver's license, U.S. passport, a state non-operator's ID. It could be a photo ID card that is issued by our office, I think. So when you come in, there's a form that you would complete, and then we'll take your beautiful picture and print your card, and we can give it to you at that moment. So it'll be a little card that looks something similar to this. If you are not registered, we can't issue the ID, but we can go ahead and get started with the process to get you registered. We will take your picture, but we'll just hold off on printing it until your voter registration goes through the verification process. Could take about 30 days or less. Some other IDs that could be acceptable would be a college or university state ID for students, charter school employee IDs, and a list of those universities' employers can be found on the State Board of Elections website. It is a very long list, but you will be able to find what is acceptable there. We could also accept state, local government IDs that are approved by the State Board as well, and that is listed on the website too. If you are a voter where you are just recently moving into North Carolina, you can use your out-of-state driver's license as long as your voter registration date is within 90 days of the election. All of the acceptable forms of ID has to be valid. It cannot be expired. If it is expired, it has to be expired no more than a year. So a year or less, we can still take it. Some other forms of ID could be a military or veteran ID card, a tribal enrollment card issued by a state or federal recognized tribe, or an ID card issued by a U.S. government agency or state of North Carolina for a public assistance program. And those IDs, even though some of them may have an expiration date on it, it can be expired. So if you have a passport and it's been a while since you used it and it's expired maybe like 5 years, you can still use it. Some of our voters who are 65 and older, we know that sometimes they travel around with expired ID cards and it's hard for them to get a valid ID. As long as their ID did not expire before their 65th birthday, they can use it. So it could be any one of the IDs that we mentioned, they can use it. I know one of the questions that have come up before would be, what about voters who may not have an ID but did not get one from our office? You can get one from the local DMV. All you have to do is just go in and let them know that you need one for the purpose of voting. But if you do not go by there in time, you can still vote at the polls. It would just be done in the form of a provisional ballot, which would be separate from what we would consider to be a regular provisional ballot. With it, it would be an ID exception form that the voter would complete, and they would indicate one of the reasons why they do not have their photo ID, and they would vote by provisional that way, which would then be presented to my board members. voters who are requesting an absentee ballot, they will also be required to produce a copy of their ID, which would be put in a separate envelope that they will attach to their ballot that they're sending back in to us. So that's photo ID in a nutshell. Some of the other things that might be pending, I don't really feel comfortable with sharing a whole lot, only because it constantly changes. But we do have 3 that I'm aware of that are filed on the floor, which one is House Bill 772, where it discusses observers inside the precinct. It discusses a lot of what they can and cannot do. Some of the changes gives them a little bit more freedom to walk about the precinct without the assistance of a chief judge. We also have Senate Bill 749. That one talks about the makeup of the state board and the local county board and how they are going to be appointed, where the local parties, they're normally responsible for doing the appointment and sending it to the state party and it going to the State Board of Elections, and the governor appointing the chair for the board. Now everything would be done through the General Assembly. And the other one is Senate Bill 747. It is a large bill, and it talks a little bit about how there would be some changes made to absentee by mail, early voting, changing it from being named one-stop voting to just simply early voting. It also discussed a little bit more in terms of observers and runners, and the runners are those who go into the precinct where they might secure the names of the people who have already voted so far. And it talked a little bit about same-day voter registration and some of the changes that could be coming. And then counties will no longer be allowed to accept private monetary donations to help them with funding the election if needed. But those are the changes that we're dealing with. As I learn more about what is to come down the pipes and what we should be doing, I will contact Dia and let her know so that she can be able to share it with you all during her weekly updates. But that's it for me.
Okay, any questions of Ms. Scott?
I want to make a comment. This young lady and her staff are extremely busy. They are in the county sharing this information at meetings. She shared with about 35 or 40 last week that I attended. So the information is there for this organization, our elections board, and it's really important because there's some big changes in here. We're not going to be appointing our Board of Elections after January 1. That's coming from Raleigh. We will have no say, but I just want the public to know that there's an opportunity to be informed about the changes in any of the voting laws and so forth, and that they are available and doing a great job. That's my point.
Did you list your dates of information sessions? I know that you have.
Yes. We do have one tonight at the Scotland Neck Town Hall from 6:30 to 8. And then the next one will be in Roanoke Rapids at Kirkwood Adams, 6:30 to 8, October 25th. And hopefully we'll be able to secure more dates and locations, hopefully sometime after the municipal. And with those, not only do we discuss the photo ID requirements, but we also try to help inform voters who may not understand the process when you're looking at unaffiliated voters, or what happens when a voting machine goes down. Try to help explain some of these things so that it can eliminate the frustrations that voters deal with in terms of precinct officials, reduce some of the phone calls we get, and maybe hopefully reduce some of the phone calls that you all may get on election day. Yes, I do. I'm sorry. October 16th at the Hollister Elementary School. Thank you.
When we attended the conference, and several of us went to the election workshop, and it was just alarming to me, and I think it was alarming to people there, the changes that were being made and the impact those changes were going to have on voting. And one that was most alarming to me was reconstruction of the Board of Elections.
Yep.
And that was a lengthy discussion. And when people go to the polls to vote and they're not aware of all of these changes in voter ID and what needs to take place, it's just
Scary.
alarming is not the word.
Yeah.
It's like we're stepping back in history. So we thank you for
Yes.
your presentation.
Thank you.
Ms.
Yep.
Scott, you made mention, excuse me.
No, go ahead, Commissioner.
You made mention of the voter ID cards. Is there a cost for those?
No, they are free. And
Again, wherever you get them from.
what's that?
Wherever you get them from, they are free.
Right.
Is there a scheduled time for that, or people just can come in at random?
They can come in at random anytime, Monday through Friday.
Well, I tell you, some good questions have been asked, Commissioners, and I appreciate what Commissioner Brewer said, Vice Chair Brewer said about it. And, and it doesn't stop Ms. Scott and her staff from having to do what they normally do, from 8:30 to 5, and, still have to go out and do this. I mean, they do a tremendous job. And I appreciate Ms. Johnson bringing it to our attention to have you here today. And thank you for working to get the schedule where you could be here. Because this is real important. It's mind-boggling, it really is. I got one question about this, and I know it's a moving target, this bill, Senate Bill 749. How is the chair elected? I see how they are appointed, anyway, by the General Assembly, but how is the chair elected in this process?
Currently, what happens is the party will submit a nomination to the governor's office, and then the appointment is done that way. So they do not follow that where it goes to the party, to the state party, and then the governor. It just goes from local to the governor's office, and the chair is usually whatever the party is of the governor.
Okay, all right, okay.
So does that mean that could change?
Yes, ma'am, it does. If it passes and becomes law, what'll happen, we'll go from 5 board members to 4. And then the 4 board members will vote like they used to choose who their chair would be.
Oh, okay. All right, any other questions? Okay, this is just for information, we have taken action on this, but Ms. Scott, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Appreciate you and
You're
all that you do. Okay, next item is Health Department, new clinic fees. We'll hear from Mr. Robertson. Good morning, Mr. Robertson.
What we have before you is new clinical fees that are recommended and authorized by the state of North Carolina. And so it's been before the Board of Health that has approved them, so just needs your review and approval.
Okay, any questions or comments from our health director, who's in his short days? If not, we'll need a motion for the approval.
Just one.
Okay.
What are the current fees?
I'm sorry, I don't have those in front of me. The increases are minimal and not a real big thing, and these are statewide fee increases, so.
Commissioner Davis, did you have a comment? Okay. All right, just before you do it, Mr. Robertson, if you don't mind, in reference to Commissioner Smith's question, he just asked you.
I can get that to him.
Yeah, can you get it to Ms. Denton, she can then share it with all of us?
Absolutely.
Okay, all right, thank you. Back to you, Commissioner Davis. Okay, motion made by Commissioner Davis, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Smith. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, like sign. I think you still gotta stand there for a minute.
Yes, I do.
The next one is the new environmental health fees.
Yep, a very similar situation. These have also recommended from the state, legislation approved, and also approved by our Board of Health. So again, set forth for your review and approval.
Okay, you heard the information coming from our health director in regards to the new environmental health fees. What is your pleasure?
Move approval.
Motion made by Vice Chair Brewer, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Smith. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Appreciate you and all that you do and your staff as well, okay?
Thank you very much. We have a great team over there.
Yes, sir. You do. Thank you. All right, next item on the agenda is the resolution supporting Operations Green Light for veterans. Shelley Britton, Veteran Service Officer, and also Felicia Exum, our DSS Director is here. All right, we'll hear from you all this time.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. We come before you today seeking your approval and your support of a resolution for Operation Greenlight. As you know, America's counties have a very long history and a very long, proud history of serving our nation's veterans. This work continues today as many counties work within their federal, state, and local partners to ensure that current and former veterans have access to resources that they need. Once again, this Veterans Day, the National Association of Counties and the National Association of County Veteran Services offices invite the nation's counties to show their support and to join Operation Green Light by honoring veterans by lighting up their buildings green. This will occur November 6th through November 12th of this year. By shining a green light, county governments and our residents will let veterans know that they are seen, appreciated, and supported. To present this year's resolution, our very own Veteran Services Officer, Shelley Whitten, will read the resolution.
Okay.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Whereas the residents of Halifax County have great respect, admiration, and the utmost gratitude for all of the men and women who have selflessly served our country and this community in the armed forces, and whereas the contributions and sacrifices of the men and women who served in the armed forces have been vital in maintaining the freedoms and way of life enjoyed by our citizens. And whereas Halifax County seeks to honor these individuals who have paid the high price for freedom by placing themselves in harm's way for the good of all. And whereas veterans continue to serve our community in the American Legion, veterans of foreign wars, religious groups, civil service, and by functioning as county veteran service officers in 29 states to help fellow former service members access more than $52 billion in federal health, disability, and compensation benefits each year. And whereas approximately 200,000 service members transition to civilian communities annually, and whereas an estimated 20% increase of service members will transition to civilian life in the near future. And whereas studies indicate that 44 to 72% of service members experience high levels of stress during transition from military to civilian life, and whereas active military service members transitioning from military service are at a high risk for suicide during their first year after military service, and whereas the National Association of Counties encourages all counties, parishes, and boroughs to recognize Operation Greenlight for veterans, and whereas Halifax County appreciates the sacrifices of our United States military personnel and believes specific recognition should be granted. Now therefore be it resolved with designation as a green light for Veterans County, that Halifax County hereby declares from October the 11th, 2023 through Veterans Day, November the 11th, 2023, a time to salute and honor the service and sacrifice of our men and women in uniform transitioning from active service. Be it further resolved that in observance of Operation Greenlight, Halifax County encourages its citizens in patriotic tradition to recognize the importance of honoring all those who made immeasurable sacrifices to preserve freedom by displaying green lights in a window of their place of business or residence from November 6th through November 12th, 2023, and that a copy of this resolution be spread upon the minutes of the Halifax County Board of Commissioners this second day of October 2023.
Okay, thank you all so much. Colleagues, what is your pleasure in regards to?
Move approval of this very important action.
Okay, motion made by Vice Chair Bruce, second by Commissioner Johnson. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Thank you
Okay,
all.
thank you all so much for the
Thank you.
presentation.
Thanks.
And really, we need to emphasize that last paragraph about the observance of the Operation Green Light. Halifax County encourages its citizens to be patriotic tradition to recognize the importance of honoring all those who made the immeasurable sacrifice to preserve freedom by displaying green lights in the windows of their place of business or residence from November 6th through November 12th, 2023. Real important. Thank y'all.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, next item F, non-emergency ambulance franchise moratorium. Mr. Rex. Do I need to hold my side? You got to face on the top.
Good morning.
Good
Good morning,
morning.
Mr. Rex.
We'll do a little bit of a history lesson here on a non-emergency franchise. And then, first I need to talk about what is the non-emergency franchise and what does it do? It gives the county the ability to regulate ambulance services that come in here to do non-emergency transports. We can only regulate what is from point A to point B within the county. So, it was adopted initially July the 10th of 1995, and it was awarded to one provider at that time. It was revised in 1998, 2000, and again in 2011. In 2011, that's when the board also approved a moratorium at that time when we had 3 providers here in the county. And those 3 providers served well through October of last year when Vernon Brown Rescue Squad sold all their ambulances and got out of the non-emergency business. So right now there's 2 providers, Eastern Medical Transport and Atlas Transportation. And again, those 2, Eastern has had a franchise since 1998 and Atlas has had one since 2011. During the pandemic, these 2 agencies tried to do the best they could, but they are suffering from, just like every other EMS agency in the state, they're suffering from not having personnel to operate the ambulances. They've got the trucks, they just don't have the personnel to operate them. So, the question is, do we need more providers here in the county? And that's something that we're looking into at this particular time. I have not had any complaints from anybody since April of this year about not being able to get a non-emergency transport, or the hospital not being able to get a transport from the hospital to somebody's residence or to a nursing home. So, franchise updates are needed. We are currently in the process now of going through the ordinance and making some changes that need to be made in order to make it more current. And the current moratorium expires on October the 5th. So, we're asking the board today to discuss this and then come up with what we need to do going forward. Do we just allow the moratorium to expire and then start getting in applications? Do we do a 90-day moratorium, extended moratorium for 90 days, and let us study the ambulance through the franchise ordinance better so we can tune it where it needs to be? Or figure out then at that time if we're going to start taking applications for more providers. If we open this up, we're going to get a flood of applications. We're probably going to get anywhere between 8 and 12 applications to do service here in the county. So, again, do you want to add anything?
I can, unless there are questions.
Okay.
I don't know if the commissioners have questions first.
Any questions from the commission?
I guess my statement, question, et cetera, right now, we're okay with these 2, is that correct?
So far,
So far.
So far.
Okay, okay. So, we can just extend
I ain't
it.
hearing those two.
We can do nothing and then allow the moratorium to end, which would end on October the 5th. Or we could, we're looking at more, we'd have a 90-day, extend the moratorium for 90 days, allow us to get better prepared and do the changes to the ordinance. Or you can just go ahead and vote and extend the moratorium for another 3 years, whatever the board decides to do.
Ms. Johnson, for clarification, are you speaking about the two names of the
I was
agents?
really speaking of the two names, but this was helpful also.
Okay. What are the two names?
Eastern Medical Transport, which is doing, what they do business as, their parent company is Bertie Ambulance Service,
Uh-huh.
and then Atlas Transportation.
Okay.
Is that Terry?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
You mentioned a 90-day and to allow us to get ready. What, is there other things to do in this process or?
So the moratorium would expire this Thursday. And the only thing that we've noticed in the research to prepare for today was that the ordinance itself, which should be in your agenda materials, we would like to clean it up a little bit and update it. Just one example, the EMS Advisory Board no longer exists. That was abolished about 2 years ago, I believe. And that way, that would give us a little bit of time to go through it. It's not critical. To my knowledge, we've not had any complaints from any patients about the ability to get a transport and the time it takes to get the transport from the patient's perspective. Is that
That's correct.
that's a true statement? Okay.
Good.
How did we determine that if we extended it, it would be for 3 years as opposed to 2 years or 1 year?
I can't tell you why it was, I don't know was there a magic?
That, I can't tell you, it was done in 2011. We brought in Atlas Transportation in 2011, and then the commissioners voted for a 3-year moratorium. Ever since then, it's been renewed every 3 years, the moratorium has.
I think you could do any length of
Anything you
time.
wanna do, any length of
I'm not
time.
aware that the 3 is something that you have to do. I think that's totally up to this board.
That's right.
Good questions. Anything else? Did you finish?
I did.
Okay. Commissioner Davis, did she answer your question? Okay. All right, anyone else? So, you've heard the information coming from our EMS director. Any questions or comments? If not, we'll leave, we can consider the staff's recommendation for the non-emergency ambulance franchise, which, will be 3 years from, if we do it today, it'd be 3 years from today. Of course, we can come back and change it though, but it'd be 3 years, okay?
And it doesn't have to be 3. It could be
Right.
whatever
Okay.
you all, it can be any length of time.
So hypothetically, if for whatever reason we don't have 2 franchises and one decides that they can no longer do it, then does that mean we come back to the table if this happens before a 3-year period?
I think you can do that, yes.
Yes.
I don't think we're locked into it, Ms. Jones.
Okay.
Am I right, Mr. Ricks? and
That's correct.
Ms. Denton is saying that?
I believe this is solely a county's decision.
Okay.
So it's totally what this board would like to do.
As long as we're not locked into it.
Yeah.
Okay, anything else from anyone in the commission? All right, if not, what is your pleasure?
Trying to figure out the motion.
I'm going to go with the staff recommendation.
Okay, go ahead, I'm sorry.
For
Okay,
the ambulance franchise.
all right, I'm sorry to cut across you. Motion made by Commissioner Davis, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Vice Chair Blue. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Madam Clerk, it's unanimous. Thank you, Mr. Ricks.
Thank
Can we
you.
clarify what exactly that means? So that-
90 days.
It's not,
That's the
You
recommendation.
intend for the 90 days? Was that
Y'all
good?
to update the.
Yes, okay, I just want to be sure.
wait a minute, say that again. To make sure we clear, what was that?
If I understand correctly, the motion was to extend it 90 days so that staff would be able to update the ordinance and come back with a new version, with a new date, with you all's blessing.
Okay, is that your understanding of it? I wanna make sure.
I just want to be very clear about it.
Okay. Just want to make sure we all know with that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank y'all for that clarification.
Thank you.
It's kind of confusing.
It is. All right, next item is a resolution authorizing application for USDA, research grant. Ms. Perry.
Good morning. So at your September, the first meeting in September, I gave you all an update of the Meadow Sewer District project or pilot project and of the engineer selection. So we decided to move forward with Tetra Tech. And so we're in the process of doing an application for the search grant. And we have actually submitted the proposed fees to the USDA for consideration and approval. And we got the green light last Thursday to go ahead and hit the go button on our application for the search grant. So this resolution just authorizes the county manager to execute all documents relating to the USDA Rural Development Search Grant process, including the acceptance of all terms and conditions of the grant if awarded, and ratifies all actions taken by the county manager or other county staff in furtherance of this grant to date. So it's just pretty much a resolution authorizing DEA to move forward without paperwork for the search grant.
Mr. Chair,
Motion made by Commissioner Johnson, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Vice Chair Brewer.
Sorry, sir.
Y'all put on the draw over there. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. At this time, we're going to move to item 6, board appointments. Central Communication Advisory Board received nomination to reappoint Neil Aycock.
So moved.
Motion made by Vice Chair Brewer, second by Commissioner Johnson. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Okay, Halifax County Board of Adjustments received nominations to appoint Tammy Deloach. Motion made by Commissioner Johnson, is there a second? Second by Commissioner Davis. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. Halifax County Human Relations Committee received nominations to appoint Betty Reese to fill the unexpired term of Terry Buffalo.
So moved.
Motion made by Vice Chair Brewer, second by Commissioner Johnson. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Halifax Parks and Recreation Advisory Board received nominations to appoint Jerry Coley, Audrey Hardy, and Chester Williams.
so moved.
Second.
Okay, motion made by Commissioner Johnson, second by Commissioner Smith. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Then the next two items, receive nominations to appoint individuals to replace Willis Richardson, and receive nominations to appoint individuals to replace John Simeon. We can put both of those on hold. Okay? And we just need to recruit, some other people to serve on the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board. Okay, juvenile, Madam Clerk, am I correct? Juvenile crime prevention, is that next? Yes. Okay. Receive nominations to appoint Cherie Anderson to replace Levi Scott.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Davis, second by Vice Chair Brewer. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Receive nominations to appoint Eric Boone to replace Clarette Glenn.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Johnson, second by Commissioner Smith. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Receive nominations to appoint Kim Scott to replace Vera Ashbell.
So moved.
Motion made by Vice Chair Brewer, second by Commissioner Johnson. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Receive nominations to appoint Kristen Scott to fill an unexpired term of Teresa King.
So moved. Second.
Okay, motion made by Commissioner Davis, second by Vice Chair Brewer. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Receive nominations to appoint Gorton Williams to replace Bobby Martin Jr.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Johnson, second by Commissioner Smith. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. All opposed? Okay, and the last one, I believe we can put this one on hold. Receive nominations to appoint individuals to replace Diane Pridge and Fred Draper, Jana Austin, and Nigel Anthony. Tell you what, we did be an old man, pronouncing these names become difficult. Okay, Solid Waste Advisory Board. Receive nominations to appoint Jamie Shotwell to replace Bill Dickens.
So moved.
Motion by Vice Chair Brewer, second by Commissioner Johnson. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. All opposed? That's the board you on, Commissioner Smith. Is that the board you on? Solid Waste? Okay. Okay, I think that's it, Madam Clerk. Is that correct? Yes, sir. Okay, just remember about the vacancies that we still have with some of the other boards, as you can see behind that. And, we just need to look around in the community and see if we can find individuals to serve. Okay, item 7, County Manager's Report. We'll hear from our hardworking County Manager, Ms. Denton.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I actually don't have anything for open session. I do have one item for closed session.
Okay.
And we'll get to that.
All right. Okay, with that being said, we'll move on to Ms. Scott, Economic Development Director.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Get started. Oh, here we go. All right. So it's hard to believe it's October. 1 quarter left in this year for us to accomplish a lot. So we've got a lot to do before Christmas takes over. But anyway, let's go through some of our economic indicators. We're still in that mode of having really strong positive indicators. Our unemployment rate remains low at 5.4%. It actually didn't change from the last period. And that represents 1,012 people that are unemployed. And just to give you some additional information, there's 845 job openings as of the end of September in Halifax County. And right now, there are 6.3 candidates per job openings. So that's pretty good numbers as far as there being multiple candidates per job. So companies have an option. If you'd looked at it a year ago, it wouldn't have been that way. It would have been a smaller number of candidates per job.
Is that because of technical skills?
I think it's because of, more people going back to work where they were not because of COVID and other issues. I think it's just finally catching up and, what is it called? The universe sometimes corrects itself, so maybe we're in that mode of getting more back to normal. There's still shortages. I don't want you to think that issue's over, but still shortages. Our building permits for August were over 8 million compared to over 4 million in August of last year. Our gross retail sales for July were over 64 million compared to 62 million a year ago. So everything remains just in a very positive direction. So we'll keep hoping that continues. I sit on the North Carolina Economic Development Advisory Board, and that is a group that sits in an advisory capacity to the Economic Development Partnership of North Carolina. And so we had a meeting last week, and we got an update on the statewide marketing campaign, which is all in NC, and we're getting some benefit of some of the work and some of the marketing that's going on at the statewide level. They're starting the 2024 cooperative marketing program, so this gives us an opportunity to collaborate with the state in advertising, trade shows and things of that nature. Up until last year, trade shows just didn't happen because of COVID, and so we're getting more and more back into the traditional business recruitment methods that we've used in the past, so we'll definitely be participating. And they're also helping us with some of our larger site marketing. So you see, this is part of a video that the state, which I call the state, it's Economic Development Partnership of North Carolina. They're a nonprofit. They took the place of the Department of Commerce in the business recruitment side of our state's efforts. So they provide a lot of assistance to us. We have some videos, and I'll be sending you links once they're finalized so you can see. Also in September, we took advantage of an opportunity for an update on plans to improve US Highway 158. NCDOT is using what they call express design to look at improvements along the US Highway 158 corridor. There are several alternates that are being looked at for the portion between Littleton and Renwick Rapids. They're not giving us a lot of insights what happens before Littleton, but we're getting there. We're really, pushing them to help us, because in part of our work in looking at comprehensive planning for the future, it's hard for us to know how to plan for the future if we don't know what the state's ideas are for US Highway 158. But I'm going to be sending this out to you all, and with some help in understanding what they are, because if you look at these maps, it's very difficult for lay people to understand. It's difficult for me, and I end up asking a lot of questions because I don't always understand the way things are presented. So, but I take really good notes when somebody tells me, so when I send this out to you, I'll make sure you have the benefit of all my dumb questions I asked. A few project updates. Heaton's moving full speed ahead with their project with the land that Halifax County conveyed recently. We granted them a temporary easement for their lay-down area, but they have a sedimentation and erosion control plan that might require some approval by you all as a board, so we'll bring that back to you if that occurs. Roseburg is moving full speed ahead, getting their facility ready for opening next year. We're still working on the final easement for the natural gas line. Hopefully that will be resolved in the next week or two. The West Point site, I'm just so happy that we have a final brownfields agreement in place. It will actually go to advertisement probably the first of next week. Really excited about that. The only thing that we're lacking right now, there is a survey that's been completed, but it has to have certain notes on the survey that denote it as a brownfields and contacts and things of that nature. So our surveyors are working with us to get that done. But after 7 years, we are almost there, y'all. That is amazing. I'm really pleased, and we're going to have a big party when this gets completed.
That could be a potential game
Stelligent,
changer, too.
excuse me?
No, I'm sorry about that, but I'll give it, so that could be a potential game changer, too.
Oh, absolutely, and, just a lot, what will come behind it will be good as well. So Stella Jones, that's Project Pole that you all worked with and provide an incentive grant back in just a couple months ago. This is their existing facility in Louisiana, just to show you what the interior of one of their facilities looks like. But they're working with DOT, getting their rail spur design. There was an existing building on the site that they renovated for their office. That's completed. And they're starting to advertise now for some of their job openings. The Air Boss Access Road, I mentioned that to you all a couple meetings ago. They really need an alternate access to accommodate their growth and avoid the neighborhood in a future catastrophe that could occur. So we've been working with the town. We submitted an application, or the town did, for $500,000 from the Southeast Crescent Regional Commission. We got a letter of commitment from DOT for $320,000 to match other funding for this project, and there's a $780,000 application underway to the Economic Development Administration to round out the cost, the $1.6 million cost. So we're really excited that we've got the funding sources in place, and we'll just keep pushing to help that get approved before the end of the year. You all approved at your meeting last month the funding for the preliminary engineering report, working through all the logistics on that, so we'll be reporting back to you on that. A lot of construction projects that are underway or nearing completion. The Fairfield Marriott, there's a meeting next Monday with the contractor. They're ready to start full construction of the Marriott, so they've set up a meeting next week with the town and other parties to help them make sure they navigate and get started on the right foot. The new Pizza Hut is well under construction, should be opening soon. The brewery in Littleton, just significant construction on that. That's going to be a major destination attraction, like Lori mentioned in her presentation. All that the Ed Fitz is doing to create opportunities for people to visit in Littleton is truly amazing. And then, of course, there's a new Toyota dealership under construction. You're starting to see things come out of the ground now. But we've been working with a lot of different projects, one of which is the Reentry Council. The management team and I met with the representatives of the Reentry Council to look at their fiscal support needs, not so much from a monetary standpoint, but as someone to be the repository for their funds. So you'll probably be hearing from us at your next meeting regarding this. I'm still looking to narrow down funding for the $5 million infield sewer line extension to exit 154. Been working with the projects committee for the America 250 celebration. And, workforce development is just a part of everything I do these days. So more and more collaborations with other partners to help support our existing industry. And, moving projects forward, such as Meharon expansion, Weldon Steel's building reuse project, and others. And as I mentioned, we just continue to partner with others to make sure that our citizens have the skills they need to meet the job demands of today. And Dr. Elliott has been a tremendous partner, and we're going to be doing some exciting things that we hopefully can bring you up to speed on in the near future. Again, another month of heavy client activity. Some of these projects we are not able to respond to. Either their electrical needs are way too high and we don't have the capacity to meet them, or that would be an existing building, which we don't have. Our client visits and existing industry activities, see, we had a busy month. But one thing I wanted to mention to you in this past session of the General Assembly, the state legislature approved funding for Golden Leaf for a shell building construction program. So there's going to be significant funds to help in construction of shell buildings. And be careful how I say this, because I don't want to commit anybody to something that they haven't committed to. But I think there's a lot of opportunity for us to work with our electric cooperative and, look at how we can leverage those Golden Leaf funds and the funds that they have available to build shell buildings. So we'll definitely get you more information on that as we move along. If there are any questions, I'll be glad to answer.
Kathy, the last thing that you mentioned, has that been approved?
Yes, that's from the budget, yeah.
All right. Okay, you heard the information coming from Ms. Scott. Any questions or comments?
Thank you all so much.
Okay, if not always, thank you.
I don't have anything for closed session today. I do have a couple of projects that I'm getting very close to bringing you information, but they just weren't there today. But at your next meeting, we'll likely have 2 projects to discuss with you in closed session.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate all that you do as well. Okay, county attorney, he's not here. He's down at the court. Next item is under other business. If you would turn to me under other business, we do have a resolution, and I wonder, this is a resolution in memory and in honor of Tony O'Brien Davis, which is, the spouse of Shanoa Davis, our county commissioner. And her mom and her son is here. Would y'all just raise your hand? Okay, so good to have you all with us this morning. And but I'm gonna read this resolution. It was read at that wonderful homegoing celebration, that you had for Tony, and it was well attended by our staff and by just all the officials around. I think even our Superior Court judge was present there too, I believe. And but it was just wonderful team. Also, it had a visitation in Rocky Mount. I think the night before, and that was well attended. When my wife and I pulled up there, of course, we saw Miss Johnson there too. The first thing that I thought about that everybody in Halifax County was there. There was cars everywhere, and it was unbelievable. Wonderful homegoing celebration. For such a fine man. Anyway, if you would just indulge me for a second, I do want to read it. Whereas the Halifax County Board of Commissioners pauses its deliberations to note with great sadness the passing of Tony O'Brien Davis, and whereas Tony O'Brien Davis was known for his dedication and unselfish acts of kindness to others while serving and improving his community. Whereas Mr. Davis was honored, respected, and held in the highest esteem by everyone who knew him for his many contributions and untimed efforts that has left an indelible mark on the citizens of Halifax County. And I tell you what, you're talking about a young man who left a mark on this county. All you had to do was be at that visitation or funeral, and you would have witnessed that. Whereas Halifax County mourns the loss of Tony O'Brien Davis and extends to his wife, 25 years, Halifax County Commissioner, Shanora Richardson Davis, and family sincere sympathy and deepest appreciation for his leadership and his foresight in meeting the needs of the citizens of Halifax County. And also I want to mention that someone told me that even up to his last few days, he was still out in the community, trying to help young people who was sick, who was ill. Now therefore be it resolved that Halifax County Board of Commissioners on behalf of a grateful community does hereby express great sorrows in the passing of Tony O'Brien Davis, whose life and memory we are proud of to honor. Be it therefore resolved, the original of this resolution be presented to the family of Tony O'Brien Davis, in order that a copy of this resolution be spread upon the minutes of Halifax County Board of Commissioners the second day of October 2023. Vernon J. Bryant, Chairman, Andrew H. Wiggins, Clerk to the Board. And as we all know, this is on behalf of the Halifax County Board of Commissioners. And so I put that in form of a motion.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Bryant, second by Vice Chair Brewer. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, like sign. Okay, it's into the minutes, and Commissioner Davis already has the original of this resolution. As I said, it was presented to her at the homegoing service. Yes, ma'am, you may.
I'm in order. I just want to officially thank you all for all that you've done in the past, and my husband, and the support that you've given me, and the text to encourage me to keep going and take time. And on behalf of my family, some of them here today, we just appreciate you and thank you for honoring my husband in such a way.
Very well. He was, Commissioner Davis, he was the same age as my brother when he passed. My brother was 53 years old, Eugene Bryant. Commissioner Smith, I think everybody on this board knew my brother Eugene. And he was a former county commissioner. He served only 2 years, but they were the same age. Yep.
He made a great impact in those 2 years.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Hey, look, and he was good friends with Horace Johnson. That tells you anything. Okay, all right. With that being said, item 11 is closed session. Closed session, North Carolina General Statute 143-318.11. Unless something to present, do anyone else got any other business? I should have asked you all. Miss, didn't you have anything, Commissioner?
Chair, I would just like to thank the individuals that put this together. It's very.
Right there behind, the name is green and you got that Christina Wells.
We appreciate that.
It's such good reading, isn't it?
It is.
And it had my picture in it.
And it reviewed a book that I have reviewed for several people.
But Christina does such a good job with that.
It is good.
And also to the variety of things.
I love it.
When I was looking through, I did see Reverend McCullum in there, and I asked her this morning to get a couple of copies and give it to him, and she did. So, but anyway, just wide variety. Christina, thank you so much. Let's give her a hand. She's always working. She's always doing something, and just every ready battery. Never stops. Thank you, Christine, for all that you do. It doesn't go unnoticed. Okay, closed session. Can I get a motion to go into closed session for acquisition of property and what else, Ms. Deb?
That's all.
Okay, all right. Who made the motion? Oh, okay. Commissioner Davis made the motion for us to go in closed session. Is there a second? Second by Commissioner Johnson. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, like sign.
Mr. Chairman, can I ask you to look it up one second?
Yes, sir, I understand. I understand. I'll let the matter.
On overtime.
Do we need to take a couple of minutes break? Y'all think? All right, let's take about